A Mortal's Journey to Immortality Episode 169. In the previous episode, Han Li uncovered the truth behind the mysterious Wood Spirit Nascent, a man-made spirit much like his weeping soul beast. Yet far more dangerous, capable of devouring a cultivator's very soul. Curious about Liu Yu's six-winged frost centipedes, Han Li questioned her origins. The young woman revealed she had found their eggs by chance in an ancient cave. Unaware of their true potential, seeing value in them, Han Li proposed a trade. He would help her evolve the insects in exchange for all their future eggs and her sect's secret insect-controlling arts. Cornered by the rules of her sect, Liu Yu sought safety under Han Li's protection and asked to become his disciple. Though surprised, Han Li agreed, on one condition: she would be only his in-name disciple. Bound by a soul restriction and left to cultivate on her own within the Drifting Cloud Sect. When she departed, Han Li revealed his true motive to Silvermoon. He intended to use the Frost Centipede's icy chi to refine the celestial ice flames faster. With a wave of his hands, he merged frost and blue flame, forming a small violet firebird, glowing with both grace and power. The story continues. Silvermoon cried out in astonishment. The sacred Asura flames. Of course I remember. Those are the devil flame known as the sacred flames of the ghost Tao. If the Bone Sage had truly refined them, there would have been few in this world that could be his match. However, the flames you've used don't seem very similar to what the Bone Sage displayed during that day. Han Li calmly replied, "Of course not. These aren't the sacred Asura flames. But while I don't know the exact origin of this particular flame, its might is clearly superior to the celestial ice flames. If I haven't guessed incorrectly, once these flames are fused with the six-winged frost centipede's icy chi, their power will grow to the point where they could rival the sacred Asura flames themselves. This was something I discovered unintentionally after I absorbed the centipede's icy chi, a fortunate coincidence indeed." With a flick of his finger, the small flame-shaped bird hovering nearby dissolved into his palm. Silvermoon was stunned at first, but then her expression turned to delight. She gave a respectful bow and smiled brightly. "This servant congratulates Master. The celestial ice flames are something ordinary nascent soul cultivators would never dare to touch. With these newly fused devil flames, Master would be able to dominate the entirety of the heavenly south." Han Li shook his head slightly, his tone calm but stern. "Dominate the heavenly south? Those words are far too bold. There are many late nascent soul cultivators hidden across the region, each with deep experience and their own secret killing moves. Perhaps one of them possesses a method that could restrain my devil flames." Silvermoon pursed her lips and said carelessly, "Master is too modest. How could such an opportune counter exist?" Han Li smiled faintly. "Nothing in this world is absolute. Take my gold-devouring beetles for example. They're fearsome and ranked among the highest of spirit insects. But even they can be restrained by the bloodjade spiders, whose rank is much lower. If I were to meet someone who knew about these beetles and wielded treasures of jade or wood, it would put me at a great disadvantage. The same must be true for these flames. No treasure or technique in the world is truly without weakness." Silvermoon laughed lightly. "Master is cautious as always. From what you're saying, I assume you're already preparing several killing moves in advance, just in case someone finds a way to counter you." Han Li didn't deny it. His voice was calm and measured. "I've never accepted disciples before. My cultivation was too low, and I lived a wandering life, constantly changing my residence. But now that I'm settled in the Drifting Cloud Sect, it's only natural to establish a few sources of influence of my own. Strength is vital in this world, but standing alone is both dangerous and inconvenient. Having people under one's command allows access to information and opportunities. For instance," he continued, "no one took the initiative to inform me of the trade meet in the state of Yu that will take place in 2 years. Those two elders might have mentioned it eventually, but far too late for me to prepare. Liu Yu, while her cultivation is not high, is resourceful. Once she enters the Drifting Cloud Sect, she'll surely work to build her own influence, even without my instruction." Silvermoon smiled knowingly. "With the soul restriction you placed on her, she won't be able to betray you unless her cultivation surpasses yours." Her influence will therefore belong to you entirely. That's far more advantageous than taking a normal disciple. Han Li cast her a glance. It's good that you understand. He then turned his gaze toward the iron rhino, the large spirit beast still trembling nearby. It had managed to stand, but its eyes now held fear instead of defiance. Although this beast isn't particularly useful for me, I can control it directly with a magic tool since it used to belong to a clan. It will fetch excellent materials in trade. Train it, then lock it in the spirit beast room. Once the trade meet begins, I'll see what I can exchange it for. Han Li took out a black command talisman and handed it to Silvermoon. I'll be leaving to place the soul restriction on Liu Yu. Silvermoon received the talisman with both hands and bowed. As you command, Master. After Han Li left, she stared thoughtfully at the command talisman. A faint smile appeared on her lips as she turned toward the spirit beast. A beam of yellow light shot forth, and soon after, a series of miserable cries echoed through the hall. Ellipsis. Han Li later found Liu Yu and placed the soul restriction on her. Then he brought her to meet the silver-haired elder of the Drifting Cloud Sect. He didn't tell the whole truth, only that he had known her from before and had brought her back from the controlling spirit sect to take her as a disciple. The old man was surprised at first, then burst into laughter. So that's why you went into the Devil Dao's territory. Excellent, excellent. Our sect could use another core formation cultivator, and a woman at that. With that, Liu Yu was accepted into the Drifting Cloud Sect without issue. Han Li was satisfied. Before departing, he gifted Liu Yu, now renamed Liu Mei, 2 magic treasures and several bottles of demon core refined pills. Her attitude quickly changed. What had begun as reluctant obedience turned into genuine gratitude. For the first time, she felt that following Han Li might not be such a bad fate after all. Proving her sincerity, she handed Han Li a jade slip containing every insect controlling technique she knew. Along with her 6-winged frost centipedes, Han Li accepted them calmly, completing the formal disciple ceremony. Once settled, Liu Mei built her own cave residence on White Phoenix Mountain. Whether due to Han Li's influence or the silver-haired elder's favor, she was even appointed Deputy Mountain Lord, an unexpectedly high position for a newcomer. Han Li merely smiled at the news. With the centipedes in his possession, Han Li immediately began experimenting. Using rainbow skirt grass, he nourished the insects, believing the herb that strengthened his gold-devouring beetles would have a similar effect on the frost centipedes. Then, shutting himself inside a secluded chamber, he began studying the insect control techniques alongside the profound nascent formation arts left by Xin Ruyan. He sat cross-legged, enveloped in a soft azure light. After a long meditation, his eyes snapped open, glowing faintly. He reached for his storage pouch and whispered, "Execute." At once, thousands of black-tinted gold-devouring beetles swarmed out, forming a swirling cloud 3 meters wide above his head. Han Li rose and began to move in a strange pattern, muttering ancient incantations. A mist of azure light spread from his hands. Surrounding the insect cloud, the beetles froze mid-air, hovering in perfect formation without colliding. It was a mesmerizing sight. His gaze sharpened. With a quick hand seal, he pointed forward and shouted softly. The cloud shone with azure brilliance and suddenly dove toward him. The beetles whirled around Han Li in tight circles, faster and faster, until they formed an impenetrable barrier of shimmering black and gold. Han Li's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. But he wasn't finished. His voice turned deeper, chanting a more complex spell. The beetles' speed increased until their light exploded in a flash of blue. When the glow faded, Han Li stood in the center, now covered head to toe in armor made entirely of living beetles. The armor gleamed with gold, silver, and black, etched with simple, fluid designs. It emitted a faint azure radiance, looking both elegant and indestructible. Han Li ran his hand over its surface, smooth, flawless, and impossibly hard. A rare, satisfied smile crossed his face. "Not bad," he murmured. "I truly didn't think my idea from the Heavenvoid Hall, using the beetles as armor, would actually work." Then, with quiet admiration, he added, "The controlling spirit sect are truly worthy of their fame for their insect control techniques." They are far more powerful than I could have imagined. That wraps up this episode. In this part, we saw Han Li make another major step forward in his cultivation journey. After fusing his celestial ice flames with the icy chi of the six-winged frost centipedes, he unintentionally created a new kind of devil flame, one so powerful it could rival the legendary sacred Asura flames. Yet even after gaining such strength, Han Li remains calm and cautious, knowing that in the cultivation world, no technique or treasure is truly invincible. We also witnessed Han Li beginning to establish his own influence within the Drifting Cloud Sect. By placing a soul restriction on Liu Yu and taking her in as his disciple, now known as Liu Mei, he not only gains an ally, but also expands his network of power and information. This shows how Han Li balances both wisdom and strength, always planning several steps ahead. And finally, through his study of the controlling spirit sect's techniques, Han Li successfully develops the insect shell technique, transforming his swarm of gold-devouring beetles into living armor. This marks a new height in his mastery over spirit insects, combining defense and offense in a truly ingenious way. If you enjoyed this episode or found it interesting, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to get the latest updates on Han Li's continuing journey toward immortality. There's still much more ahead, and every step brings him closer to uncovering the true depths of cultivation.